Lady Liberty in the New York City skyline looking over its shoulders, the U.S. Coast Guard cutter the Katherine Walker protects the waters of New York City with both diligence and respect towards all those who pass. The Katherine Walker truly earns its title, the Keeper of New York Harbor.
Katherine Walker was primarily built and designed to serve as floating aids to navigation or buoys. But because it is equipped with so much state-of-the-art ship control and maneuvering technology, it enables the ship to do much more than that. Aside from aids to navigation, we conduct a variety of missions. The Coast Guard's what we refer to as core missions: search and rescue, law enforcement, ports, waterways, coastal security, and marine environmental protection. Our home port our moorings are in Bayonne, New Jersey, but primarily we work in New York Harbor. Hence the moniker we carry for the ship is Keeper of New York Harbor. We like to think if it's New York Harbor's business, it's Katherine Walker's business.
We patrol the waters of the local waters of the Raritan Bay in this area, the Arthur Kill, the Kilven Col, and the Raritan River. We teach boating safety, and we do vessel exams as all part of our volunteer work.
We probably work about 60 to 65% of everything we do conducting maintenance to aids to navigation. The other 27-28% being homeland security. In the wintertime we do domestic ice breaking, and we've done so far this year 3 search and rescue cases, which don't take up a lot of time, but it is part of what we do.
When we're out on the water patrolling, we're looking for the people who might be in need of assistance. We're looking for anything that might be out of the ordinary, especially since the unfortunate events of 9/11. We're out there to make a presence, to have our presence known. One of the biggest things we do is called Operation Clear Channel, where we would run a mile or so ahead of a large oil tanker or barge or something like that coming down one of the channels from Sandy Hook into the Perth Amboy Anchorage and around Ward's Point. And what we do is we run in front of them to alert the fishermen and the pleasure boaters that a large ship is coming and that they should make every effort to move out of its way.
The Katherine Walker U.S. Coast Guard cutter was named after Katherine Walker. It all started with Robbins Reef. It was a lighthouse that was built in 1939. The lighthouse was about half a mile from Staten Island. John Walker was the keeper of the lighthouse, and his wife was Katherine. They had 2 children. In 1886 he died, and his last words to Katherine were, "Tend the light, Kate." She was a very small woman. She was only 4 feet 10 inches and she weighed 100 pounds. So it was very, very difficult for her to tend the light, and she stayed on. She would go to the lighthouse, she'd enter it, she'd have to step onto a metal step and climb a ladder 54 feet high to get into the door of the lighthouse. There was a kerosene light on the top of the lighthouse, and she used that to warn the ships at night of danger. She'd have to climb up several times and relight that light. In fair seas or storms, she was constantly doing that. She lived in the lighthouse for 33 years, and she saved over 50 sailors' lives. She retired at 73 years old, and she died at 83 years old in 1931. She's buried right now in Staten Island. When the U.S. Coast Guard commissioned these buoy tenders, they named them after famous women, and Katherine Walker was honored by naming this ship after her.
Buoys are part of a larger maritime transportation infrastructure. Primarily our aids to navigation tell people where to go, where not to go, and in this area they enable commerce. In the 3 years I've been aboard, we've serviced over 820 buoys. And that's everything from doing routine maintenance to recovering buoys that get hit and subsequently sunk by ships, or sunk by ice because they get crushed in the ice and go to the bottom. Coast Guard cannot perform its mission without the Coast Guard Auxiliary. There's nothing like the heart of the volunteer, and the Coast Guard Auxiliary's been a part of my professional life for over 25 years. And as long as I continue to serve, I'll maintain that working and personal relationship with the people who wear that uniform.
The Coast Guard Auxiliary is a group of dedicated men and women who serve directly at the behest of the United States Coast Guard. We are a part of the Homeland Security.
Well, the Coast Guard Auxiliary has over 30,000 members. It's purely volunteer, and it's an exciting thing to join. We get involved in boating safety classes, we get involved in on the water patrols, search and rescue, vessel examinations, a lot of different things you can get involved in.
No, it is a volunteer organization, and I do it because I feel like I'm giving something back to my country. After all, where could a guy like myself, retired, get to enjoy the benefits of being out on the water and being with good people and assisting the public?
And it's a very, very diverse establishment where you can do what you want to do, and you have the option of putting in the time that you have, regardless whether it's 8 hours a month or 1 hour a month. Everybody can give what they can.
Brought Libby aboard as a puppy in January 2005. Previous to Libby, I had a black lab. Her name was Missy, and for 10 of the previous 12 years, Missy came to work with me every day on 3 different ships and a couple different land stations. So Missy passed away, and I went a little over a year. I didn't have a dog. My original tour on here was 2 years. I was fortunate enough to get a 1-year extension, and when I learned about that, I still had about 18 months on the ship. So I talked to the crew and told them, because it's a responsibility for everybody, I wanted to bring another dog aboard, and they didn't have a problem with that. But because it was going to be so much a part of what we do, I asked them if they'd help me pick a name. Now, I told them I thought it should be something that was tied into what the ship did or where we did. And we spent so much time here in New York Harbor working in the shadow of the Statue of Liberty, we arrived at Liberty. Now, there's a catch to that. At the end of the day, when we go home at night, for us, that time off is called Liberty. And we announce that on our PA system, and it goes, now Liberty, Liberty, Liberty. Liberty is hereby granted to all authorized personnel. That means they can go home. So the thought was, if they got away with saying the dog's name 3 times, we could quit work and go home the other day. But that's how we came up with Libby, aka Libby.
Now, Liberty, Liberty, Liberty. Liberty is hereby granted to all authorized personnel due to expire on board prior to 06/45, 22 June 2006.
All hands are reminded to check out with the OOD prior to departing on Liberty. Sailing orders have been set for 0800, 22 June 2006. Now, Liberty.
The Coast Guard does an awful lot of different things in an awful lot of different places. So while you may see the Coast Guard advertised, in particular, people jumping out of helicopters saving lives, and people driving around in fast boats, protecting places like the Statue of Liberty or, Pier 17, New York Harbor, there are other things the Coast Guard do. So when you join the Coast Guard, you may have one thing in mind, but you could very well find something else that interests you, and have your mind open to that there may be other things the Coast Guard does that you didn't know about.